Would you use your spiritual development practice as a way to escape from your reality, or would you use it in order to take a step back, in order to step up? So let's talk about it. What exactly do I mean with this? So you see, for the last 5 years or so, I've been, making this type of videos about spiritual, personal development, mindfulness, going out in nature and all of that good stuff. And it has been an amazing journey for me so far. However, what I've noticed over the last few years is that I've been doing this more for, let's say, as a way to make sense of my inner world. For me, creativity is also a way to, to tune into my own intuition, into my higher self or whatever. This is also where I get into my own creative flow of everything. However, I always felt that still something was missing. I enjoyed my time out and I enjoy making these type of videos, but at the moment I upload, I think to myself and I feel like, why am I actually doing this? Yes, it's good for me for my spiritual healing journey and all of that, but in the back of my mind I always had that, like, things are not in a line. Because even though I like to, climb this pyramid of Maslow in order to, tune more into my, let's say, purpose and self-acquisition, there was still something missing fundamentally. Because I was still looking to my reality and I was like, I'm not content about the reality that I live in. And yes, we are masters over our own reality, of course. But I felt still something was missing. And I looked to my world and I saw, like, the areas in my work life, in my financial life, they are not right. They are not correct. And here's a little bit of a backflip. Because before I came to London, I was like having an internet marketing business back in the Netherlands, doing about 10,000–15,000 euros a month. And it was really good. But then things went south. Things collapsed. I came to London and I felt emotional, depleted, burnout, depressed, anxious. And that's where my spiritual healing journey really took off. However, in the back of my mind, because of my background in entrepreneurship and marketing sales, I always I can't go back to the normal grind. I can't go back to a normal, let's say, office job. I never really resonated with that in the first place. So I knew deep inside that I had to be back in business for myself. However, I could say, I have basically seen it all. I've been there, done that. I've looked at so many different kind of business models, different systems and whatnot. And because I've experienced so many things, I also realized, the ins and outs of what doesn't work. What can work if you do certain things. And these certain things just didn't longer resonate with me. And I didn't want to do these type of certain things. And as a conscious, let's say, entrepreneur, intuitive social entrepreneur, I wanted to be more open. I wanted to be more social. I wanted to become more conscious, more creative and more empathetic about my decisions. However, when I look to the old ways of doing things, I did not longer want to be part of these kind of practices, like the things that are actually really common in today's world. Because of that, I stepped back out of everything. I was looking from life from the outside out. Okay, I looked to everything and everything was just passing by, and I simply did not longer want to be part of that. So that's why I continue to have my creative expressions about personal spiritual developments. However, exploring all these topics, well, let's say my lower chakras or my fundamental of self-esteem, safety, security were still still fractured. It didn't really make sense what I was doing, if you know what I mean. So that's why I felt like things were not in balance. Things were not in a line. And Although I know from a life path I'm at number 9, I'm here to teach, I'm here for my final exams and whatnot. It also means is that still sometimes I have to go back to the things I've previously done before, and that also feels like I don't really want to go back to that again. However, my expression number is a number 8, which still evolves about business, entrepreneurship, wealth generation. So I had to find a way to make these things to work together. And here's the deal. I strongly believe is that yes, we continuously must learn how to take a step back in order to step up. And what I mean with that is that yes, it's very good, it's very wise to take more time for ourselves, to nourish our soul, is to reflect on our thoughts, feelings and emotions, because these unconscious engines, I would say, is of course driving our vehicle, it's driving our car. So we must nourish that and reflect on that very, very much. I could say it's like what's happening underneath the surface, below the surface of the iceberg. What we see is of course our end results, and yes, we all have surface desires like, you know, material wealth, financial abundance, freedom, more time with our family, the option to travel, whatever. But of course they are always driven by our behaviors, and our behaviors are of course fueled and energized by our emotional states, our way of thinking. So that's why I continue and to reflect more on these aspects. However, at some point we have to take things into practice. That's why I strongly believe we must have a vehicle, okay, where we can put all these things into practice. Because if you don't have a vehicle, all of that metaphysical things we talk about, we can't ground them into our day-to-day practice, in our day-to-day life. Yes, we can look at all these beautiful things, but when we come back to a reality we actually don't really want to be part of, then, you know, what's the point? What's the balance? There is no balance. In a matter of fact, spirituality becomes nothing more than an escape from your reality. It could be just as, you know, being addicted to video games or gambling or whatever. It's the same thing. So that's why we have to find a way to put it into practice each and every day, and we can only do that when we have a vehicle, when we have a vehicle that can get us where we want to be in life for ourselves, but also a vehicle where we can systemize our message to the world. So here's exactly what I mean with that. Right now we have just entered the age of Aquarius, which is a very important phase in our human collective, at where we are energetically. Over the last few centuries we have seen many evolutions at how, let's say, how we have evolved socially, how we have evolved in our technical revolution. So of course we had the discovery of oil. That was one period of our life. We moved into the industrial age. We have moved into the Second World War, which was a major evolution of developing new technology. A bit later on, and we had in the 90s, we had the evolution of the internet. Now, a lot of people became very, very, very wealthy from that. Have you? I certainly had a tiny little piece of that pie, but I can assure you, I didn't keep any of it. So right now, we are entering a new phase where we do not longer want to become part or stay part of this control-based, centralized economy. We're moving into a whole new phase, which will invite us to go through a whole other transformation. That's why we need transformational coaches, mentors, healers, consultants, etc. that can give us both the personal and the financial freedom. So yes, we must continue to reflect on what energizes us, take a step back in order to step up, but we also must integrate it into our day-to-day lives that is going to cause an evolution in how we work on the day-to-day basis, how we can reclaim our personal power and freedom and independence. Because right now I do not really want to continue moving into this aspect much more, because we have already an entire community that can teach you all about this, of where we're currently at and where we're heading. The only question for you is, what are you going to do about that? And that's why I will be organizing regular calls, discovery calls, to really see where you are at the moment and where you want to be, and how you can, let's say, position yourself at this very important and crucial turning point as, let's say, as a transformational coach, mentor, consultant, lifestyle mentor, consultant, whatever you want to call yourself, in order to help people free themselves from the system that is outdated, that many of us, we do not really want to be part of. Some of us say we have to, but we actually do not really want to. Yet we want to birth something new, something that can set us free completely, where we have and can create the time and financial freedom to focus more on our, let's say, spiritual journey. Because with this new technology, we will enter a new phase of spiritual balance and harmony, which we all must begin with ourselves. Anyway, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you checking this out. Let me know your thoughts. Simply drop a comment below. And yes, I will continue sharing more about how to create more mental, emotional and spiritual alignments with the new phases humanity is currently going through. Jean-Paul here. Take care for now. Bye bye.